Hi all, this is Matt, and I wanted to take a few minutes, just about 10 minutes altogether, maybe 15, to go over the basics of using MyLabsPlus for Coppin State University on the faculty side. So what I want to do, I'm going to go first to the website, and the address is http coppin.mylabsplus.com. And you'll see that you get the CSU branding, and you will see a splash page that introduces the MyLabsPlus for Coppin State University. So what we can do is sign in. I'll send you guys an email with a login and a password for you that will get you into both a practice term with some dummy courses, and also for next semester or for the fall's courses, you'll be able to log into your courses and see. So I'm going to sign in, and this system kind of runs on pop-ups, so you just use to enable pop-ups in your browser. I always use Firefox or Chrome to log into the system. Internet Explorer and Edge do not tend to work very well with it, so we like to use the Firefox or Chrome pretty exclusively, and I tell my students to do that as well. So what I'm going to do, when you log in, you will see any courses that you have access to. You can see right up here, this is the training term. This is just a fake term that I've created with these fake courses that you guys can play with. So I put together this little training term and I populated it with some courses. Now I have a test course that I created. You should only see one or two sections. Whatever sections you have for English 101 would be listed here for the fall. But you'll just have a training class here right now. So I'm going to log into this course. I want you to see what it looks like. Now, this is the course homepage. Now, this is exactly what the students will see once they log in. So in this sense, your view and the student view are pretty similar. Now, the basics of this, the instructions for on the student side are in the English 101 syllabus. There's about 8 or 9 pages of detailed instructions with images and screenshots, so students should be able to get into the course relatively easily. I will actually be doing a video to help them as well. So, but they'll see a page very similar to this once they activate their course and once they log in for the first time. They have a couple of things to do. Now, the MyLabsPlus is basically an online workbook, and it's focused on grammar skills. So what they do first, the students will log in and they will basically do a diagnostic called a path builder. It's a 141 question test or 140 question test that will score them on a variety of areas. Mechanics, grammar, usage, all that stuff. So what they have to do is they log in and they complete this path builder. You can do that too if you want. It might be helpful just to see what they actually see. So I'm going to click on this path builder, and it says questions 140. So I'm going to start this test. I'm just going to do a couple questions, and I'm not even going to check to see if I get them right. So identify the adverbs. Happy that Ben is enjoying his job so much. Let's see. So just going to click randomly on a couple of these answers. Doesn't really matter for my sense, but the students will go through all of these, and some of these questions are legitimately hard, and very few students will actually score, will test out. Now, what happens once they take the path builder is that they get credit for what they know. So, example, if they know a lot about basic grammar, there are elements in MyLabs that they might not have to do based on their scoring on the diagnostic. So MyLabs is basically broken down into 4 major modules: basic grammar, sentence skills, punctuation, usage, and style. The basic grammar is the first module. For example, if we navigate into that, you'll see that there are several topics, 11 topics in here. Parts of speech, subjects, verbs, articles, verbs, tense, etc., etc. Now, these are the core topic competencies that we want from our students to master. So we have these 11 topics that their goal is to get mastery over. Now, how we define mastery is that they score 70% or higher on the topic post-test. That's how they get their credit. Now, how they do that is to complete their activities. So you can see right here we have parts of speech. Now there are 6 activities over here that they can do that will help them achieve mastery over this. Now, how I grade this. I look at each module. I give a module a due date. And let me go back here. I give a module due date for each one of these modules. So usually after we take the Path Builder about week 2, about week 4, the basic grammar module is due. So I give them about 2.5 weeks. Around midterm, the sentence skills is due. Week 12, punctuation mechanics. And then week 14, 15, usage and style. So we have, about 3.5 weeks, 3 weeks for each one of these modules to get done. At that module due date, I look at how many of these activities, or how many of these topics rather, that they've earned mastery over, and then I give them a score. So if they get 11 out of 11 mastered, I give them 100% of my gradebook. If they get a percentage of them mastered, they get a lower percentage in the gradebook. Now, how all this works, what it works like. So they will click into working on the first topic, parts of speech. First, they can click the overview. And this is basically a handout. There it is. So this is basically a grammar handout. They can read through it. And they can also listen to it as well. I always tell my students to print it out, make a PDF of it, have it on their desktop while they're doing these exercises. This is not meant to be closed book. It's not meant to be a test. It's meant to be formative. So any resources they have that will help them through it, I'm happy to let them use. So their overview, you will see once we watch that, or once we read it, we get a little star here. That means we've done it. Second thing is the animation. That is not running right this very second. I must have a Flash player disabled in this version of Firefox. So the animation is basically a presentation on the same material. So for someone who's a very visual learner, they're going to get to see a little talk about the same thing. It's the same exact material. The recall activities are basically homeworks that'll test what they've heard and what they read. So, which of the answers provided is a clause from the following sentence? The batter swung and the umpire yelled strike. So they have to know what a clause is. So we're going to say the batter swung. I'm going to check answer, and we say yes, that is a clause. So we can go to the next answer. Identify the complete verb. I can't wait until graduation. So wait, graduation until, okay, so can't wait seems to be the complete verb. Next. So we get positive feedback immediately once we get something right. But guess what? If they get something wrong, say, if we're looking at, I have to identify each noun, say we took read and write. They actually get feedback on telling them why they didn't get it right. All right. So I'm going to go out of here. All right, let me start this real quick. Dependent clause, save for later, yes. So now they have to at least start each activity before they can move on to the next. The recall activities are these multiple choices. The apply activity is a little harder. The apply activity is basically an editing activity. So here, their job is going to be to identify the verbs in the passage. So they're going to have to click on all these verbs that they can find. I'm going to find more. Now, see, I scored all of them, but if I were to say to hike as a gerundive there, they would take off 1 point for me. So I'm going to score the question, and I can submit my activity. Okay, you can see that I got a star there. Now, I could take the post-test now, which is going to be like a recall activity, but whatever my score is, that's whether or not I'm going to get mastery over this topic. And this is basically rinsed and repeated 11 times in this module. This takes a long time for students to do. I budget at least 15 minutes for each one of these things. I always recommend to my students you do 1 or 2 a night for a week or two, a week and a half, and it's easy. If you try and do it all at once, which some students will inevitably try to do, they're not going to do well, and they're not really going to have success. So I try to get them to very slowly and surely click along, make slow and steady progress, and it's easy. Now, they basically get to do that 4 different times. 11 topics here, 11 topics here, 8 topics here, and 5 topics here. So I think there's 35 altogether. So this is a considerable amount of work for the student. Now, all this is basically what the student will see when they log in. You, as an instructor, have a couple more tools that will help you. Now, so how do we monitor their progress? So we use the gradebook. So here, you can see here that the student does not see this stuff. So I'm going to go to gradebook. All right. So now here you'll have your class roster. I only have one person in here right now, and it's a test student that I made. That is me. Now we can see what the student has done based on this gradebook view. So these are all gradebook views. So I'm going to look at what this person has done as of the learning path. So I'm going to click on learning path. Okay, right now I have a 0.7% score. I've mastered no modules on assessments. That means I haven't tested out of many modules. And I have 4 modules that need study. So that means I haven't done anything. So the basic view here that I use, so on the due date, I will go to module 1 and I will look down at how many of these 11 modules that this person has scored. Did they get it? And you'll see if they master it on assessment, there'll be a little yellow star here. If they master it by working, there'll be a little star with a green check mark on it. So that means that they actually did the activities and did the post-tests. So a lot of students, there will be a few who don't do any of it, but I've had pretty good success with about 80% of my students doing a good chunk of this MyLab stuff. And I've found it pretty easy, a pretty easy part of the course to grade and to monitor. It's kind of very hands-off from the instructor in most cases, so especially if you do it like this. Now, other functions of the gradebook, you'll get alerts on inactivity. So if a student logs in and then doesn't log back in for weeks, you'll know. You also get little alerts on exhausted resources, which means that the student maybe has taken the post-test twice and not been able to pass it. So you can go into these alerts, you can reset their work, you can erase their answers and let them try again, or you can give them additional attempts. I'm always pretty lenient on giving them extra attempts because I want them to be successful. I want them to have an opportunity to move forward in the application. So again, I will send you a login and password so you can play with this stuff. There is really nothing that you can do in the test courses that is going to negatively impact any reality. So please feel free to play around with the gradebook, look at it, look at the course, look at some of the modules, look at some of the exercises. It's all kind of a sandbox for you. So I hope this is helpful, and if you have any questions of it, please don't hesitate to call me or email me. Thanks. Bye.